What's good, Two Knicks Chicks family? Welcome back to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady, and the chef. Welcome back. And I'm joined by my co-host today.
Diva21, what's good?
Welcome back, Diva Locks. It's good to have you back on. Lots to talk about with the Knicks, in preparation for Unrivaled starts tomorrow. So I'm excited to get to the whole juices and berries of that. So I'm excited to watch Unrivaled. How you feeling about that?
For sure, but my allegiance is to the Knicks right about now. And I'm excited too, don't get me wrong, because I will be tuned in. I couldn't wait. I love what they're doing, the uniform, just the press, the rollouts. I mean, I'm truly enjoying it. So it's just more basketball for us to watch. So
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. Like, it's cool with watching the NBA, but I think that because we have such a long time before you watch the WNBA, it's nice to be able to see like this different format. And Kathy Engel and the rest of the WNBA, they're taking notes. You let a two-player started league, they're outbeating you at your game.
for sure.
So I'm excited to see what these games are looking like, and yeah, I like who they have coaching wise. I like who they have player wise. I like who they have as the analyst wise. Lisa Leslie's one of the commentators. So I'm just excited to see like the rollout. I think tomorrow's a doubleheader, so I'll be tuned into TNT to watch that game. And yeah, we'll see what's gonna pop off. But enough about that. Let's get started on the Knicks. The Knicks, we're gonna recap and go back to when the Knicks lost to Detroit Pistons. I was on the Queen's Court and I didn't want to hear what anybody had to say. Not actually, but I just was like unfazed because my thing was I felt like we lost to Chicago twice. We lost to Dallas. Hold on, because I got my chart. I'm ready today. We
OKC.
lost to OKC twice. We lost to Orlando. And then you just recently lost to Detroit. And actually, that's not our first time losing to Detroit. So we'll add them to the twice column as well. And, I was basically just like, the Knicks have to, I get that they're on this road of figuring themselves out. They're figuring out who they are, their identity, and they're still trying to find their consistency, right? And by the look of things, when you look at the Knicks some nights, they look unstoppable on both ends. They'll torch teams with lights out shooting and good defense. And then on other nights, you look at the Knicks and it's like they take a couple of steps back and they look slow defensively and just with poor shooting. You know what I mean? It's like the combination of the two, and it's just a bad recipe.
Yeah.
And so far at the start of the season, the Knicks are 25-15 through the first half of the season. Compared to last year, the Knicks were 24-17 through the first half of the season. But they still are currently 12 games over 500, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's 12 and not 11. Looking at that Detroit game, the Knicks did lose that game 119-124. I just didn't like the pace of that game from the Knicks end. I thought the Knicks looked like they were playing Detroit's pace. Detroit was conducting and letting the Knicks know this is what we want you to do. And
Yeah.
the Knicks was always playing behind their tone that they set from the jump ball. And I just didn't like what I saw from that game from the rip. You got OG Anunoby, he had 10 points. Josh Hart had a double-double, 12 points, 14 rebounds. Towns had a double-double, 26 points, 12 rebounds. Brunson finished with a double-double as well, 31 points, 11 assists. Mikal Bridges resurrected from the dead with 27 points. Cameron Payne had a pretty good game with 10 points as well. A nice spark off the bench. The Knicks were they were 17 for 18 from the free throw line. So that was a good, stat right there alone. They were 50% from the field goal line percentage, which is the same for Detroit. And I'm sorry, I messed up. The Knicks were actually 24 for 29 from the free throw line, which is still not horrible. They out rebounded Detroit 42 to 39, had more assists than them, 26 to 20. But it was too many turnovers. They had 17 turnovers. And then they of course got outbeat in points in the paint. But I don't know. I just didn't like the tone of that game from the rip. And I said it before they played. I said the issue was when the Knicks played Detroit, the games tend to be very close. The score tends
Yeah.
to be very close. I thought Cunningham was going to go out there. I knew he was going to do what he felt like doing, as he always does. He had 36 points. Malik Beasley, had 22 points. And then here's the crazy thing, too. They had several guys in double figures as well. Tim Hardaway Jr. didn't score a bunch of points this time, this matchup. Had 10 points. Duran had 10. Thompson had 11. And Tobias had 11. Still solid from other guys that you got help from. What do you think it is when the Knicks play? It looked like a good game from the eye test, but I didn't feel like it was going to be enough. And not because I was being negative. I just was like, this is what we've seen from the Knicks, where it's just a close game. But what do you think it is with the Knicks when we play? Well, first, I want to hear your thoughts on that game. And then afterwards, you can answer, what do you think it is with the Knicks when they play teams like Detroit and they just, hell, even Philly yesterday's game, and the Knicks just, I don't know, they just can't seem to like pull away in those games. And I don't need you to beat teams by 20 and 30, but you need to have a better, comfortable lead where at the end of games, we're not scrambling to try to make sure we win games.
Um, I don't want to say play down because Detroit they're balling, so it's
Yeah.
they're over 500. It's not by much, but regardless, they're no scrubs by the stretch of the imagination. That yeah, they may be right now they sitting at 21 and 19, um, but they're growing. That's another team that's young, and somehow the Knicks can't get up when it comes to like young team. These players, the teams that have these young players,
Yeah.
and they can't just seem to like stay with them. Um, like, and I don't know who does the scouting for the Knicks, but for the love of God, like do your homework. Your coach as a coach, this is your job. X, Y, and Z, this is your job. Do your job. Like scout these players out. How you how you not gonna know about Malik Beasley? Like this guy, in his last two games, he was like 13 for 18 with the Knicks. So he can hit behind the arc. It's like some guys just camp out there. That's they got their spots. So that's neither here nor there. But the, the Knicks got to learn how to play up to teams like that. Like you said, they always seem to be a step or two slower with teams like that, like the OKC, even Chicago, for the love of God,
Yeah.
Detroit. You know, they got to learn how to match that intensity, and until they do, they will beat teams like that. Then they have to figure it out. Like, well, how come? What can we do to beat a team like Detroit? Because let's face it, they beat you twice. Chicago twice. So you
Hmm.
got to figure out a way to like, how can we got to match that intensity. In other words, and they're not doing that. Um, but you're not gonna win with, and we every it's no secret. Their bench, their bench outscored us 46 to I think it was like 13 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, so we all know that's a big gap, with the Knicks. Although Tibbs is playing them more, but it's like, we need more bench production. So that's a sore thumb with them. And defense. we all know like that's like the number one. It's not a big man. Yeah, it's a big man, but ultimately for me is the defensive collapse that they have, or the lack of defense intensity for a
Mhm.
team like Detroit. Like you got to match that, figure it out. Um, so like, and then like Cunningham, like again the scouting, who is the scout for the team? You know what K's capable of doing. He's gonna make it. To the All Star. Whether the coaches pick him, it's not a fan thing. I think he's gonna probably make it this year, and you see why.
Yeah,
He
he's
just come,
developed.
man. This kid, he reminds me of Paolo, like just
Mhm.
like what they're able to do, just down and a shade, just in that paint, like they just have they impose their will on teams, and and that's what he did.
Yeah,
He had 11 what in the fourth and then 15 and third, whatever, something like that. Like how you let a player just score just or willy nilly on you like that? So it's that right there. I think you know. I don't want to say Detroit caught the Knicks by surprise because they beat you the first meeting back on November 1st. So you got to be able to get up for a team like that.
right.
So
But we keep talking about the Knicks' biggest issue being the lack of good defense. Who do we point the finger at when you say like we not really seeing? Because I've seen reports where they say, "Oh, some games the Knicks play really great defense," but I don't agree with it being great. I think it's good defense in some
yeah,
games. The Knicks are on and they're locked in, but I think, and we talked about this, a lot of it is the lack of consistency. But like when you look at the broader, bigger picture of it, before you even start, pointing a finger at a player and this person, that person, how do you, as a whole, address that issue that we're not good defensively? Like, how do you tap into that and say, okay, we gotta? Because I remember before for a long time, I used to be like, yo, the Knicks need to go back to the basics. Like, and I was dead serious because I mean, back then they were so bad a bounce pass couldn't even happen on the floor.
okay.
That's how bad the Knicks were. And I hate to sound like I'm being funny, but I'm dead serious. You have to have some type they have to get a tight grip on the defensive end for the Knicks. The Knicks are just not there defensively. And you're never going to be true contenders if you can't be good defensively. And I before you answer that, I also want to kind of touch on the point that you mentioned with how you have guys like Paolo and SGA, how they can impose their will and get to the basket. The Knicks don't have enough guys that play like that on a consistent basis.
No, they don't.
I would say minus Jalen, who can do that, but we don't have enough players like that who can get crafty. Notice I said crafty and not fancy, because I don't need you to be fancy. Just figure out how to get to the basket, because that was one of my major issues when we have Randall. Randall doesn't know how to get one-on-one to the basket. He may could create a little space for himself, but that was the most that he can do. But back to the defense, we don't who like who do you put this on? Is it on assistant coaches? Does it fall on Tom Thibodeau? Is it Leon in the gang? Like who is gonna be put their foot down like Mr. Clark and lean on me and say, yo, we gotta get the defense right. It's not there. We gotta address this issue and not just keep looking at we gotta get this piece here, we gotta get that piece here, which again, we still need that. But even if you're bringing this piece and that piece, if they're not playing good together defensively, what good is it if you bring trades and get rid of this person, bring in this guy? What good is it if, as a team, we're not playing good defense?
Well, how about it starts with the players? Like,
But who addressed this? Who's we're watching film, and I want to. There's something I have a quote here that I want to bring up regarding Tibbs and the film and this, that, and the third. But like What are you watching the film on? Tablets? Are they not on big screen TVs? Are
Well,
they watching on tablets that they don't know, they can't get a good picture of what's going on? I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that.
yeah, it starts with the coach, but again, like as a player, and you're a professional. Why should somebody tell you how to
You're
play
right.
defense? That should be an automatic. That's the fundamental that you should have had down pat. So it's like, why can't the players just take ownership and responsibility for it? Do a coach need to tell you? Yeah, like yeah, what you do here, Tibbs be yelling, but like as a player, that's the basic fundamentals that you learn, and you're past that AAU stage. You are at the pro level. Play defense, plain and simple. Like you letting the guy just blow by you, and then taking the ball from the what is a court feet, like just going in there and just slamming on you. And just for me, I don't know. I think it starts with the players. For me personally.
It does, but you know what? It does start there, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I think that, and shout out to Humberto de la Ois. He said, I fully trust Leon Rose, and please realize that he is always 10 steps ahead. And then he followed up with, we have two new all-star starters that are just starting to gel, just being realistic. I hear that, Humberto. I really do. Here's the thing though, whether you had two new all-starters, whether you got Towns here, I don't care who you got here. When you look at the Knicks, because what I do is I rewatch the games and I'm fully just focused lasering on just what the Knicks are doing defensively. When I watch the Knicks defensively, I'm just using as an example. So it'll be Josh Hart guarding whoever's at the top of the key, and then it may be Deuce McBride or Mikel right there guarding whoever's at that angle the on the 3 point line on the perimeter. And Deuce or Mikel, they're worried about helping Josh guard who he's
Mm-hmm.
guarding. OG, whoever it is, they're worried about helping whoever's guarding their man because they're worried about protecting the paint. And even if you had Mitchell Robinson there, they would still be playing like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is why teams are able to get up a lot of 3 pointers against us, because somehow the Knicks play this like help defense where they're like they're leaving all this space away from their player. It's a huge gap, and then whoever's on the opposing team, whoever's at the top key, they quick pass, and then they're able to get to the shortest point of the 3 point line. Boop, they got an easy three. Or that guy drives to the basket, he's able to kick it back out. And it works every time because the Knicks are so concerned and bunched up in the paint that now whoever's standing outside of that 3 point line, they're like, yo, I got this. Just kick me the ball back out. Because that's what the Knicks do. The Knicks play a lot of help defense. And
Yeah.
to me, that's like their Achilles heel. It hurts them. And I'm like, again, going back to the talk about the film, if you're watching film, don't you see that you're doing that? When do
Mm-hmm.
you say, I don't want you doing that. I don't see how you kind of stepping in. You freeze it and say,
Yeah.
see how you stepped in right here and you helping him. I don't need you over there. I need you to worry about your man right here.
Mm-hmm.
Let Cat come in, or whoever's maybe right closer to him come in and step in. But you leaving your guy open. Why? We do this every game. They should be called the New York washing machine because they do the same cycle every
Cycle.
game. Sometimes you get a rinse. You saw Precious, he went into rinse and drove in the other game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same thing. And I'm like, I think that's where I'm beating my head up against the wall, because I'm like, who is saying, pause the tape right there. Look at where y'all standing. That's not what we need. That's not what we need. Address it, correct it, and work on getting better with the defense from there. I don't see, it's no way that they're doing that. Maybe they bringing it up, but I don't see the correction being made.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
somebody's saying it. I'm not gonna say that they're not, but I don't see the steps being made because I see the same guys doing the same thing. They're coming in a little bit. Whoever they're guarding is wide open on the outside, or they're able to sneak in. It's not good defense. It's not good defense. So I just want to know, like, what what are we doing? And when we're watching film, I'm not really sure, but something's got to be touched on and addressed because to me, the Knicks are capable, and you always say this, every team is capable of being beat.
yeah,
But the Knicks are in a better spot than they were last year. Yes, I'm not denying that. But I don't know if it's enough to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't know if it's enough to get them out the second round. I don't know yet. I'm not saying that they're not capable. This team is very much capable, but I don't know when I see us like, and honestly, when they had the 9-game win streak, we saw this last year. I think I told you this. I saw this last year. They
hmm,
showed us that last year. They won 9 games in a row, and then it got a little bumpy, and then they was able to rebound. But and I don't want to. I know that we're still missing some pieces. I get that, but I think also what fans have to realize is that we're not having, and I'm knocking on wood, we're not having a man down situation like we had last year where we had a lot of injuries. So, you know, I don't know. I just think that defensively, I see it. I don't see it collectively. Individually, guys do their thing. I see at times OG does a good job. Josh Hart's been doing fantastic this year. All around, his numbers are higher. His stats just look great. You know, Precious seems to be resurrecting from the dead, but I don't see it collectively as a team. Individually, I see guys doing what they need to do defensively, but it's not together as a team yet.
yeah. Because they have moments where they play this great game, i.e., Philly, um, yesterday, the Bulls, not the Bulls, the Bucks on Sunday.
Hmm.
So it's like games like that where you see the flashes of greatness and like, okay, this is the Knicks that went to, the second round or went, got the wins from last season. So that's the team you see from last season. So, but they have again, it's the consistency that's a problem, and we don't see, like you said, the 9-game win streak, but that was against mediocre teams.
Teams,
So
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
when you can't play up to talent that's up in the 600s and 700s, then that's a problem. When you can't beat teams like that, then now it's like you got to start. There's concern. So
Right,
and but what
exactly.
what's the answer? Again, it's a lot of things. You need a big. Your bench has to. You either now see now this is a drawback. Now if you change up things, now you got to gel. So now that's a
That's
process.
my thing too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so it's like, well, do you run with this, or what do you do? You start getting rid of guys and bringing guys in. Well, who's to say that that's the recipe? Because like again, you got to gel and you got to build that chemistry with these new players. So that's a problem. That's going to be an issue.
Yeah,
Because let's face it, the second half of the season, the outside of the Suns, the Knicks are going to have the second most brutal schedule.
yeah,
So what can they do, or how should they approach that going forward the second half of the season? So that's an issue right there. That's a problem. What are we going to do to address it? Because this schedule is going to be brutal.
yeah,
So and you got to get up for teams that are 6 and 7, and the more wins a team wins, okay, now they run it up into the 800. These are teams you're gonna have to face.
yeah. I think that the Knicks just have to be prepared to sometimes you're going to get punched in the face. It happens even to the best of teams. And
Yeah,
I think they have to utilize that last season, getting knocked out by Indiana, plus whatever, you know, adversity they face this season, utilize that as fuel to continue to keep getting better. It's going to take time because going back off of what you just said, that's really a great key point that you mentioned. The Knicks are still in that phase where they're going to be like trying to get the right puzzle pieces together to make this team where they want it to go. So that's going to put a little bit of a delay on this team getting better, and that they're going to need to take time to gel. And that the opposite side is that that can actually work where you bring in the right pieces in place, and now it's like, okay, this will work, kind of like how we saw last year.
yeah.
So it'll work. It'll take a little time, but it will work as long as they're healthy. And then now, once you find those right pieces, and hopefully that happens after the end of this season, then we can start to be okay. We can keep the same group of guys here and just continue to keep building from there. So, it is tough, and I get it that this team, Towns came here straight off a plane and had a jersey around his torso, and they threw him right into practice. So I get it. Like, it takes teams time to gel and figure each other out and get that chemistry together. So, I don't know. I think that we got to see how things play out. But again, and I know that it takes championship teams time,
Yeah.
to really get there where you need them to get to win it at the end and to get better. And like I said before, my biggest thing with the Knicks is that I'm looking for more consistency.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you just got to show that you can be a more consistent team. And I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Knicks. Um, Josh Hart, I'm sure you already knew about this and heard about this, but Josh Hart had made some comments about the team, and that's why I named this show "Do We Have a Problem?" Josh Hart said, in quote, "I think at the end of the day, we have to go out there and execute at a high level. We have to go out there with energy. We have to go out there with no egos. We have to go out there with no individual agendas. We have to go out there and sacrifice. I think that's the biggest thing. We're a new group, hence what we were just talking about. We're still learning, figuring it out, but we can't expect to just have talent and go out there and win games. We've got to lock in and compete." Tibbs said yesterday after the Philly game, he was unaware of the comments that Josh Hart made, but urged his player to study film before making such assessments. He said, in quote, Tom Thibodeau, "I really don't read what you guys write, but there's a lot of challenges throughout the course of the season, and just stay focused on daily improvements. Sometimes there's going to be frustration." I was talking to Queen about this before we had went live on Monday, and she was saying, "Who do you think Josh was talking about?"
Yeah, yeah. I was getting
According to, according to Ian Begley, he said he's eliminating Jalen Brunson from the convo. He don't think it's about Brunson. He don't think it's about OG. So who is it about?
exactly.
Who are you talking about?
Me personally, I think it was a shot at Jalen. To be honest with you, like y'all may have that your podcast and y'all cool and your boys, but at the same time, like I'm a man just like you, and I'm gonna speak my mind. And if I felt, even if it wasn't to him, for him, I think just collectively as a team, like we
That's
got,
what I said he was talking about. I thought he was aiming it at the team directly.
yeah, because that 3 game losing streak, it wasn't team ball, because if it was, I think they would have, yeah, 3 games, that's may not seem like a lot to some teams, and yeah, you could bounce back, but then you can't just win one. You lose one. Like, so you can't go on this seesaw, this yo-yo type of
Right.
season. You can't have that. So me personally, I think it was a jab at just collectively the team. I don't think it was at JB. It could have been, but I think collectively as a team, because they weren't playing team ball. Like,
Right.
it was just like yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, when they was like,
Mhm.
they had this sequence where it was this pass, like everybody touched the
I
ball,
saw that.
and they don't do that a lot. And
They run away from what's working. The Knicks did this
yes,
last year. When
yes,
that extra unselfish basketball was key for us last year. When we made the extra pass, the extra
yep.
pass, we were successful. And the Knicks, we saw that yesterday. I remember exactly what you're talking about. And
Hmm.
watch the next game, they don't do it. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, no, yeah, but that's what I'm referring to. It's like you said, they tend to steer away what works with them, and then now it becomes individual ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I think collectively that was geared towards the team, like where I'm not signaling out nobody because I could do. He probably say, yeah, I may get triple the X, Y, and Z, but there's times where I have laps and where I only scored X, Y, and Z didn't do my part. So he's just speaking for from the team's perspective.
Yeah. And I that's what I was saying to Queen. Shout out to Steph from Dope Soul Sports Knicks Talk and Queen's Court. They go on tonight at 9. I know a lot of you will be tuned into them. That's what I told her. I said to me, I took it like he was saying it from a team standpoint, not anyone individually. I said because the Knicks have been a little bumpy and things have been a little rocky after that 9-game winning streak. And granted, teams are not going to, you're going to be off some nights. I get that. You're not going to win them all. But, I think he's calling them out like, yo, we got to tighten up. It's been a little sloppy, and I don't know what the hell Tibbs is talking about. He ain't hear about that.
Tips kill me. How you always play dumb,
Yeah,
blind.
like he don't know what's going on. Come on now, Tibbs. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I felt like he was just calling them out as a team collectively. The Knicks did play yesterday against Philly. We won in overtime, 125 to 119. For the most part, the Knicks pretty much had control of that game, minus the third quarter. They got outscored 38 to 25. That game was interesting. I'm gonna go over the stats first. Josh Hart had a triple double, excuse me. He had 10 points, 12 assists, 17 rebounds. OG Ananobi had 17 points. Jericho Sims had 8 points, 7 rebounds. He got some playing time because Cat is out with his thumb injury. Jalen Brunson had 38 points. Mikal Bridges had 23. Precious Achua had a really good game. I liked what I saw from him. I was saying I'm looking for more energy. I saw more energy out there, and I like it. I hope he keeps up with that. He had 10 points, 6 rebounds. Deuce had 13, and Campaign has 6. Uh, Knicks were 53% for the field goal percentage. They were 16 for 37 from the three. Free throws, they were 17 for 24. I'm not sure what's going on with the Knicks this year from the free throw line.
Yeah.
They did out rebound Philly 45 to 35. They had 28 assists, 3 blocks, 10 steals, 13 turnovers, and 54 points in the paint. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the Knicks as far as the free throws. I feel like that's going to catch up to them in those late game situations. Um, in the playoffs. We saw that happen last year. Remember when Josh Hart missed 2 in a row
Oh, yeah. And yeah,
and Brunson missing free
Brunson did
throws?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, got to figure out how to make free throws. They're free. They don't cost you anything but a couple of deep breaths before you put them in the basket. But the thing with that game, I'm wondering with you, did you feel like, was it good defense from Philly or was it Brunson doing too much dribbling? Because Brunson had turned it over like at least 2 or 3 times.
It was a
And
little bit of both, but I think it was more just good defense on Philly, you know, because they know, and as a team, every teams know, like, okay, it's like they've still kind of run out of gas or steam, and then
right.
that's when teams, pick it. It's like you pick your poison, and it's like, well, we're gonna wear them down eventually, and that's what they did. And that's, yeah. So yeah, I think it was a little bit of both, but I just, for the most part, it was just for me good defense with Philly. You know, wasn't great.
Well, one of those turnovers was definitely Brunson.
Oh yeah,
I think he went to go pass it and it just wasn't a good pass. And I know he did speak on that and said, it was like the late game turnovers, and
Mm-hmm.
it got a little sloppy at the end for the Knicks. Like Philly kind of felt they were gaining confidence and felt like, oh, we could get back in this. And it got a little, for me, just a little bit, not too much, but it got a little sloppy. Um, but yeah, you're right. The defense did pick up because we could have won it and avoided overtime, but we had
Yep.
the OG wound up getting the ball and he missed the shot badly. Um, and then we went into overtime, and then I think Jalen had 8 points alone in the overtime.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. You know, Philly is still struggling. They're still trying to figure themselves out as well as a team. So to me, that was a game that we should have won. I don't even think that it should have came that close. But this is what I'm saying with the Knicks. We had a couple of games during that 9 game win streak of games that was like the one they played last night where the Knicks barely won the game. A win is a win, I'll take it, but you barely won it. And I'm not saying I'm looking for perfection, but it's like we got to get better and tighten up because you almost lost that game. Tyrese Maxey pulling up from the threes and chucking them, knocking them down. I don't know. I thought overall, though, it was a good game by the Knicks. But again, this is a game that, I was expecting the Knicks to win. What did you think of Jericho and Precious?
Jericho, he filled in Cat's absence. Jericho was balling. I guess his name is in the rumor mill, so he got like, I got to ball out. But no, it was a nice feeling for Cat. That was one of his better games that he's had thus far. I
Mm-hmm.
think just being in the league overall, because sometimes it's not the points that you score, or whatever. It's just your impact and your presence. So,
Exactly.
I and he's been in the league what now, 4 years now, going up 5. So it's what he did in this particular game. Yeah, he had what 8 and 7, 8 points or 7 rebounds, or vice versa. But it wasn't what his stat line. It was just again
The
his
impact.
presence on the floor. It was felt. So that was a nice game for him. And same thing with Precious. It's like that was the old like from the Phillies series and games
Mm-hmm.
that. But you just again, it's the consistency that
Right.
you're looking to see from Precious. Not so much as Sims because Sims was just filling in for Cat, but just because he's like the second one behind Cat, Precious. So it's this consistency that you're looking from him, and
Right.
wish that you could get more of that on a night in night out basis when his number is called. But overall, like he was, they were both balling. I mean, I love what I saw from them. Um, Again, I just wish we could just see more. And even with Jericho, yeah, he don't get a lot of playing time, but just maximize when you are on that floor.
And staying
Um,
ready.
yeah, staying ready for sure.
I agree. I just want Precious to keep that energy up and be able to give us that impact, not necessarily just the points, but in games moving forward. You know, when I watch what Bridges did in yesterday's game and then in the Detroit game, he needs to he can't allow himself to, if he has a bad shooting night and he's off, he won't even he'll be right near the basket. And I heard Clyde say it. He said Bridges is right near the basket, folks. He said he's still passing the ball out. Why
It's
are you doing that?
folks.
Yeah, you know how Clyde talk. He
Yeah.
was literally right near the basket. After whatever game that was, and he had an awful shooting game and they were booing him, which we haven't heard boos in years.
Oh
He was
yeah.
getting booed because he was stinking up the whole Madison Square Garden. Couldn't buy a basket.
That was at
He was right.
OKC.
And it was the game after that. Bridges was right. He was still off. He was right near the basket and was passing. I mean, right near the basket. He could have finger rolled it in and he was passing the ball out. And I'm like, you can't do that because he's proven that Mikal don't even really need to get the ball in his hands, really. He just needs to touch it enough to shoot it and he can make the ball in.
Yeah.
So why are you playing around because you allowing a little bit of booze to alter your confidence? It's New York. You were just playing next door in Brooklyn.
That was the OKC. He had 0 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And, I said that was just a mini little slump. OG's been in a bit of an up and down slump as well.
yeah.
Some nights you lucky if you get 7 6 7 points from OG.
Yeah, we need more consistency from the Knicks.
Yeah. If you get 10, you lucky. OG's been up and down.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Hmm.
don't know what you're gonna get from him.
Yeah.
OG, we know what he can give you, but it's the last cup handful of games he's been up and down. And I feel like to some degree, it's been, it sucks because I heard Jeff Clafter say this. Shout out to Jeff. He said it sucks because we have yet to get a game where both Mikel and OG have been explosive on the same night, and it's
Mhm.
true. I don't know what they say. Well, it's your turn, bro. You gonna go tonight, or I'm gonna go tonight? Just both of you produce,
Yeah, just explode. That's all.
right? What are you taking turns? I'm gonna give 25 tonight, and tomorrow just score, please, because you're hurting us when one of you are not contributing, or both of you are not contributing,
Yeah.
because then it falls. Now that pressure falls heavily on Cat and
And
Brunson to have to produce. And then here comes Josh Hart being Captain Save-A-Ho. He's having to do this. Josh need to play. He must play tennis the way he be flying all over the floor in a good way. I'm like, look at Josh Hart saving the basketball. He diving, falling. I'm like, is he okay? Just
exactly.
got the Dylan Brooks hairstyle with the braids coming down. I'm, this guy is everywhere.
Yeah, no,
Doing
he is.
his job. He's doing his job. He's cleaning up the mess. He's keeping up with the pace. He's snatching rebounds out of people's hands. His shot. He looks way more confident this season than he did last year. Last year he was hesitating to shoot,
Oh
and
yeah.
Brunson would be like, "Shoot it," But this year he's just taking a shot. But Josh has been very consistent, and I want to also touch on Deuce. Deuce shot looks very good. I just feel like we haven't seen enough of Deuce because injuries,
Yeah.
which sucks. Between injuries and I don't know what kind of COVID cold, whatever he caught, that had him out for a while. But I'm hoping we could see him more consistent too. Because the minutes are there for Deuce.
Oh
There's no
yeah, for sure.
question of that. But it sucks because I feel like Deuce will be in for a couple of games and then we don't see him for a couple of games. I'm like, what's going on?
Hmm.
But I'm loving what I'm seeing from Josh Hart.
Yeah, and you know what? And speaking of, you know, doing the press when they at the podium, Tyrese Maxey gave like Hart like the ultimate compliment. He said, you know, teams are so focused on Brunson, Cat, Mikel, and OG that they forget the
They leave
impact.
him open.
Yeah, that Josh and what he brings to this team. You know, teams are so focused on those guys that it's like you forget about him. But and he just sneak like how he just comes in, and it's the little things that he does, his rebounder. And he said he didn't even realize he had a triple double. He said, "Oh, he did." He said that's he said this is what I'm talking about. So it's like this the things that Josh like that's what I reference to like how with Sims like the thing the impact that you have on while you're on that floor and teams do they seem to like I guess leaving him open and forgetting what he does. My thing is now will teams start focusing on him going forward and how will he make that adjustment you
Yeah,
know
that's a good point. That's a
and
good point.
especially for that for the second half of the season, again because somehow teams can scout the Knicks out very well. So if they like, okay, well we can't leave him open. This guy's a rebound machine. Look at his stats. So we gotta take notice and pay some attention to him. You know, he could kill you in a lot of ways.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think that I was gonna say that could be to Josh's advantage, like moving throughout the remainder of the season and the playoffs. But when you brought that up, that's true. Teams may lock down and say we shutting it down. He not gonna be able to just be so loosey goosey. And I think part of that is because Josh doesn't have enough respect on his name, like player wise, where teams are like, he ain't really gonna, but
mhm,
his stats show otherwise.
yeah,
Visually, it shows otherwise. He's able to sneak in so well and just grab rebounds and knock down the shots now and get steals. And he's so active getting to the basket. He's even gotten better when he drives to the basket, protecting the ball a lot
yeah.
better. Before, he used to
Remember
always get the ball
last,
swatted and he thought it was a foul.
yeah,
Yeah.
last season he was faster than his body.
His
Like,
own, yeah.
so, yeah, he's toned that down and he has better control.
Yeah. Yeah. He's definitely worked on his game a lot in the off season. Um, and they're gonna need Josh in the postseason late to finish off this second half of the season, and then for the postseason they're gonna need him to be able to buckle down and help out, wherever he can. And Towns has been really really good. He's actually doing better than I think a lot of Knicks fans thought he was gonna do,
Oh, for sure.
because a lot of fans, of course, and I was saying this on the Queen's Court. I can't remember what player it was that we had brought up. I don't know if it was Valachunas. This was the week before, last week rather, that we had brought his name up. I want to say it was him. And I said, but the funny thing is, I said, as Knicks fans, a lot of Knicks fans tend to get quick and judgy over a player.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
soft. He can't do this. He don't play defense. He don't grab a rebound. He injury prone. He this. He that. He da 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 da. Everything under the
They
book,
find fault in just
and
everything.
everything over a player, because you did it. They did it with OG. They did it with Towns,
Yeah.
and yet what I said was, some people may not think certain players are a good fit here, like Valachunas, right? I said, but we don't know until that player gets here if they're going to be a good fit or not. I feel like
Yeah.
you got to let them come over here and show what they could do. Now, if they don't work out, okay, they don't work out. But that don't mean you got to lock somebody up under some high OG Ananobi contract. No, I think OG's worth the money. He's proven so far that he's worth
Oh,
the
for
money.
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not denying that. But I think before we get so quick to judge a player, because we even did that about campaign. We was like, no, no, he should come over here. I mean, they could get somebody else, but we do that and then we don't know what a player could do until they get over here. And then sometimes we get a player over here, and unfortunately, the way Tibbs runs his offense, you don't know what a player really could do. Like Shamit, I brought him up before. Good shooter. We can't really see that because he puts up this a couple of, if a couple of shots in a game. Sometimes I only see him put up like two shots. So how could you know what he really could do
If you,
if the coach is not setting up your good shooters offensively so that they set up to get the right plays, whether they're coming off of a curl or they're, for guys who don't know how to create that spacing for themselves and do that little dribble hesitation to be able to create that space to get the shot off that they want. How do you know what a guy could do if the
what he's
coach is
capable.
not right, setting up the right plays and schematics for a player to be able to be like, I could come in, whatever. So I don't know. I think that before we're so quick to find so much fault in players. And again, I'm very adamant on, I don't want us just bringing anybody here. Then we might as well just rock with who we have. But and I'm talking about like after the season's over, like you bring in somebody here. We don't know what a player is gonna do until they get here. So they're on that floor playing with the rest of the guys who we have on this roster. So we just have to like continue to keep trusting the front office, Leon and the gang, and watch them work and do what they do. And then that's when it falls on both the players and the other half on coaching, on Tibbs.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So we have to wait and see. Shout out to the chat. You guys are real active. Y'all real active. There was a a chat that I wanted to highlight. Shout out to Hit 'em Up NYNJ said Brunson needs another backcourt shooting guard like Devin Booker or Bradley Beal. I wouldn't take Beal, not finding fault, but I wouldn't take Beal. Spends more time on the bench than on the court. And Devin Booker, that's a lot of money that the Knicks don't have. You could barely pay Isaiah Hartenstein. So I don't know. And then I think also we have to account for, let's just say the Knicks were able to bring over Devin Booker. Is that going to work with Brunson, OG, Mikel, and Cat? Is that going to be a fit? Because sometimes you could bring over a really good caliber player, but it may not be a fit for this team.
It may not be, but again, if you put your ego to the side, it can work. And I always like I will go back and reference Cleveland
With Spider.
Yes, the reason why it's working because the coach is like the ball is not going to be in your hands, not going to be. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's no me. You know what I'm saying? So it can work if you put that ego to the side and like, what is your ultimate goal? Am I going to worry about my individual stats or am I going to worry about the team stat? So it can work if players put those things to the put what's at stake and at the forefront, which is the team win, not my individual stats. So yeah, I think it can. But I don't want Bradley Beal though.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say last year. Excuse me, last year when there was that whole talk about Donovan Mitchell wanting to come to the Knicks, and I was basically saying the same thing. And I know you had checked me, and you was like, "Yo, he's not coming off the bench," and I was like, "Okay, you're right." But I'm like, collectively as a team, my biggest thing was you have to put your ego aside for the betterment and development of your team to get to where you're trying to go. And I agree with you. Like sometimes this is why I say Brunson has to find balance, right? Because sometimes when you're as a player, when you have to go one-on-one, you stop the ball movement. The clock is running down. And unless you're that good enough where you could create something on your own and not have to kick it out, and now you're hoping for hope and a prayer for someone to throw the ball up, okay, cool. But sometimes that ISO isn't good. You know what I mean? Because it stops the flow and the movement. Occasionally it's cool. If you know that your team, you got to go to work and it may take a little individual play. Okay, cool. I understand that because you're like, yo, I got to get us back in this game. Sometimes it takes you to be able to do that if other guys are off or they're like not being aggressive to score, whatever the case may be. And I think that's where Brunson needs to find that balance, and that he needs to find balance in when he needs to go off. And then the other part of it is being able to properly set up the offense, facilitate. I think the other game, it was yesterday's game. That was like one of the rare times I saw Jalen Brunson talking to guys. He was like, yo, go over there. And I was like, oh, look at Brunson communicating on the court. So, I think he needs to be able to find that balance of like running that pick and roll, run it. That should be your lead, one of your weapons that you have in your arsenal that you can throw out there with you and Cat. Utilize it. Get Mitch back, utilize that. Take advantage of it. It works if you use it, but if you don't use it, you're not going to know if it works.
It works, exactly.
So I think he needs to find that balance of like knowing when to make whatever move he goes to, and then he could kick it out to Mikel or OG. You know what I mean? On a more consistent basis. What I'm saying, I'm not saying that he doesn't do it, but he has to find better balance when to like also not try to be a hero. Sometimes we've seen Brunson where he's just trying to take over because he's so eager to win the game. And I'm like, bro, you got 4 other guys on the floor with you. You do not need to be the hero. We don't need that. You're hurting us actually by doing that.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know, have that trust. So I don't know. Shout out to Paula Bonner said, I don't think it's enough right now. They need to get better defensively. They also need someone in the paint. Yeah. Yeah, they definitely have to get better defensively. They just, I don't know. The Knicks just, they don't have enough in the tank yet. Josh playing like Russ Westbrook in his prime. He is.
Yeah.
And actually, Westbrook is, since he's been starting, Denver's been playing a lot better. But he knows, see how he could put his ego to the side? He could come off the bench and he could start if you need him to. That's the kind of player you got to be. Stop worried about starting anyway. It's how you finish.
He
Worry
interchange.
about starting all the time for every, I
Yeah.
hate this with a lot of these players. That's annoying to me. Um, Nostalgic Nick, Salute said, I still don't trust the team. I get it. I hear you. AP Salute said, and Nick Richards is off the board. He is. He got snatched
Yeah.
up.
By Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yep.
Salute Eddie C.
Salute.
Eddie said, Tibbs still playing starters heavy minutes. Yeah, Josh,
Oh,
OG,
and Mikel, their first
they beat the league in minutes.
and Brunson
In
is
minutes played. I'm like, oh boy. Um, Humberto de la Hoy said, OG gets specifically paid to do everything offensively. Offense is a bonus. Yeah, I listen, I'm not, being blind to all of what OG does on that floor. He does a lot. He's trying to guard one of the best playing players on the opposing team, him and Mikel. And, I mean, I would like to see more effort, I would say collectively as a team, but also even with OG, like getting some more rebounds. You know what I
yeah.
mean? I don't feel like, because he has the strength to do it, I don't feel like I see him down there like knucking and bucking and trying to get us a rebound. Like that's what I want to see him doing. He said, can Tibbs vary our plays? Right now, the offense is always through Jalen Brunson. It's going to be because that's how Tibbs likes to run it. But I think that's where, back to what I was saying about Brunson having trust in his teammates and finding better balance to facilitate the ball, to, know when he needs to go to work, or utilizing the high pick and rolls with him and Towns, and just also swinging the ball. Like, I don't want to see Jalen Brunson dribbling the air out the ball. If you pass it to Josh, somehow Josh does a good job finding OG or Mikel cutting to the basket. Like, look for cutters too. I want to see Deuce cut to the basket more as well. Stop camping out at the 3-point line. Like, we know you can hit the three, but it's okay to cut. You're not going to get a technical foul for cutting to the basket. Salute Pablo Demas. Long time no see. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Eddie C said, why does Hart jump when passing? I don't know. I think it's part of his supercharging energy strength that he does. When I do notice that he does that, but
Yeah.
I think that's just like a Josh Hart thing. He punched in the air and punched Mikel after he made that dunk yesterday. Mikel was walking away like this. He punched him right in the jaw. I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
why do you just punch him in the jaw like that? Pablo Demas said, I think with the exception of Cat and Brunson, the rest of the team are playing out of position. I think we need a true power forward. Mm,
What? Wow. Well, when Mitch comes, how would that wouldn't Cat go to the four? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and then it makes you wonder, is Tibbs gonna do like with Cat and Mitch, like he did last year with Hartenstein and Mitch, where he has one on the floor and they swap for each other? Because he may end up doing that. Maybe at times for a small smidge of minutes, he may have them both playing together, but I doubt it. I think he's gonna have them, um, you know, giving each other a break, trading, coming in for one. That's how he'll do the rotation. So I don't know. It's a good point. But I don't think that this year players are playing very much out of position compared to last year where we had a very severe man down situation because of heavy injuries. So I don't think that I mean, yeah, you need another center position. We do need another. And then, yeah, like Diva Locks mentioned earlier, we don't have enough depth on our bench. So this is why Tibbs, unfortunately, he's going with who he trusts more. That trust is not there with your bench guys, because I'm not. Do you think that this bench is capable to come in and kind of maintain the lead or keep up with the lead? Or is it that Tibbs feels like, or you feel like, this is not the right group of guys for the bench to be able to get the job done, and you feel like we need, minus, I would say, of course, Deuce McBride, and I would say to a degree Precious, but do you feel like Tibbs is like, nah, I need a different set of guys for the bench to work with? Because I don't know, sometimes I'll be wondering that. I'm like, I know part of it is trust, but I also think Tibbs just probably feels like, I can't but keep them in that long because that league gonna go right back, or we gonna be only up by 6 points, and I'm gonna have to put the start. Like maybe he don't feel like the starters could give you enough if he puts them out there. So he probably feels like we need to bring in some pieces for to give
Yeah,
us better depth options for the bench.
yeah. You mean the bench can't give him what he
Yeah, the
needs?
bench.
Yeah. Um, I that's a tricky thing because when you look at Deuce, you know, he lacks height. He's six
Yeah,
one.
not that tall.
Even Payne. He's not the tallest. The tallest that you got coming is Precious. 6'8". So I'm weary and leery of the bench because their height differential when they're going against other bench guys. They're playing against opponents that are 6'4", 6'5", and height wise, it's a the matchup is a problem.
Yeah,
And I think that's I I don't want to say that's why Tibbs is going to play your starters minutes anyway, but I
right.
think that factors in. But again, then make a move. Bring some depth in here. Bring some height. If that's your sole reason, why you're playing, your starters these, you know great minutes, make a roster move. So I think it's a thing. It's a trust because we all know it's a trust with Tibbs. I think
Right.
they lack the height to contend with other bigs when they come in. Um, so it's I think they can't because of not so much as the skill, but I think just height wise, it's a problem.
But you don't feel like the skill is a problem.
No, 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 not really. Because even Payne, when he's out there, he could, when you look at his stats, he could put up, 18 points in a matter like 13 or X1. He can shoot deuce, the same thing. Precious, and we need more consistency from him. But the skill, no, I think it's just the height matchup that is it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. sometimes I also don't know if it's that the bench guys play better if they're incorporated with the starting lineup, versus them playing together. I don't know. I think they're capable from a skill set level, but I do agree with you for sure. There's a height issue there, but I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what's that whole deal right there. Question. I want to ask Lady and the Chef and Diva Lock a question: keep Mitch or trade, and for who? I think this has been the question for a while now. Do we ditch Mitch
Ditch bitch.
or do we trade him? I think the bigger question before you even get to that is who's available. Because you got to bring in somebody substantial if you're going to trade Mitch.
Exactly.
You can't go for a downgrade. For all of that, I'd rather just keep Mitch.
The
It's
downgrade.
just it's just unfortunate because Mitchell Robinson is very injury prone, but for right now, I'm keeping him because you're going to need him at the end of the day. Now, and I said this already like twice, maybe three times. The front office definitely has goggles, binoculars on Mitch when he gets back, watching him very closely. And I think they're going to do that because they want to see what Mitch can do and whether or not do we keep him or do we make a move in the offseason.
Mitch is aware as well.
Oh, yeah. Man, I don't like that Mitch do that. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't like that going on Twitter and Snapchat and wherever you go and he starts tweeting things and these cryptic messages like, dude, just heal your body, heal your mind. Stop worried about what everybody else is saying and just worry about coming back healthy, in shape, strong, and ready to compete. Stop going on social media. It's like grow up. Grow up. Space Ghost Salute said, would you give up Mikel for Booker? No. No, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna speak for Diva Locks.
Mm, I think I would. I would.
Because you feel like you're gonna get more from Booker than you would on Mikel. Like
Yeah.
talent wise, play wise, you feel like you're gonna
Oh,
get
for
more.
sure.
Right.
Definitely.
I can
I
see that.
I would.
I can
Uh,
see that.
although Mikel's relatively healthy, but sometimes but although Mikel he said he's not worried about his shooting, it's up and down. He's not listening to the noise, but you got to be consistent. Like,
Hmm.
and Booker is. I think
Right.
you know what you want to get from Booker, but and again, but the downside with that is that when you come here to New York, like the crowd expects a lot, the fans expect a lot. Can you live up to those expectations?
I think he could. I
Who,
think he
Booker?
could. Yeah, I think he
Yeah, for
could.
sure. But is so that I think he can, and that's one of the reasons why I would do it. I would pull a trigger in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question, Space Ghost. Mikel for Booker. I think stat wise, eye test wise, yeah, of course. I think that more people would go for Devin Booker, and you know what you're going to get from him on a night in night out basis and that consistency. Do you think that Booker would fit right in, almost like OG fit right in like a glove,
But
playing with our starting lineup? You think that that'll definitely work out and it'll give you, because yeah, it would be a swap for Mikel, so it's no reason why he wouldn't fit in
like
easily.
like you didn't miss a beat for sure.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think that he can give you um a different angle of offense needed for this team and somebody who can also attack the basket like Jalen. So
Yeah.
yeah, I agree. Um, Nostalgic Nick said ISO Brunson.
I suppose.
Let me see. Reading your comments, seeing which one. The Man Cave salute. It's my first time seeing you here, but salute to you for joining us. Um, Said salute to the chat and almighty panel. Excuse me. Can we please address the big elephant in the room, which is Bridges and OG constantly only getting 2 or 4 rebounds a game, playing 80 minutes between them every game. Yeah, and I was just talking about that a few minutes ago. I didn't mention Bridges, but I did mention OG in that I need him to be more aggressive, grabbing us some rebounds.
Yeah.
Like I feel like OG is not with that same energy like you see with Josh, or you know what I mean, just grabbing rebounds, snatching rebounds. I even saw Deuce snatch up a nice rebound yesterday. He was boxing out and snatched a rebound right down. And shout out to Ryan Rucco was calling that game, and he was like Deuce with the monster rebound, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about. On a way taller guy, but able to box out, something that we don't see the Knicks doing a lot of. But I agree, the Man Cave, like Mikel and OG, I don't know. That's Bridges especially. Like I don't know if he's just trying to not get hurt and he's just rather stay. I don't know what that's about, but I don't see those two guys getting us
Yeah.
any awards. And it's like it's true. It's got to stop. Like you got to get out there and get scrappy and
Yeah.
box out and get us some rebounds.
Because in hindsight, when you look at his position as a power forward, so why
Right.
isn't OG getting us more rebounds?
And
Like,
OG is strong. He
yeah.
has the strength to go down there and compete and fight and get
Mhm.
scrappy with guys under the basket. So, dude, why are you not getting any rebounds? I don't know what that's about. I really don't. Nostalgic Nick said Deuce needs to get to the basket. That was one of my call outs for Deuce last year when we played Indiana. And I was saying how Deuce got outplayed by TJ McConnell.
Oh yeah.
TJ McConnell did an excellent job on the Knicks last year, not only defensively, stealing the ball, and he was just figuring out a way to get to the basket. It was nothing fancy. It was simple, simple, simple drives. And for some reason, I remember I was like, yo, I really need Deuce to figure out how to do that. Because Deuce has the speed, but I don't always feel like Deuce utilizes his speed to his advantage.
Hmm.
And he's gotten, I think, Deuce to some degree because he's worked on his three, which again, and his mid range, great, love it. But you got to add more to your repertoire than just your jumpers.
Yeah. Just
You know
make
what I mean? Like I want to see Deuce be able to like, and Deuce, you've even seen him do a little shake and bake and get guys cross him over. But he just, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I just need Deuce to like figure out how to get to the basket and be a threat, not just from the outside, but get into the basket and actually scoring. So Parish Duggar salutes that Brunson dribbles more because he's too short to make all the pass that he has to dribble to create passing lanes or score. Yes, sometimes his height is to his disadvantage. I agree. So it makes it hard for Brunson to be able to, you know, make the passes that he want to makes. But I mean, he makes it work for him nonetheless. Buzzer beater salutes that Brunson's ball dominant ISO style reminds me a lot of the Bulls offense when D Rose when he was in Chicago. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good comparison. It reminds me of when D Rose was in Chicago, and then it also reminds me of when we had Melo on the Knicks, and
yeah.
Melo did a lot of ISO to create his spacing or get to the basket. It's just, and it also it's a little triggering because it reminds me of when we had Randall. Randall did a lot of ISO ball too. So I don't like it at all times. Mitch is supposedly coming back next month. Not holding my breath.
Is he coming back before the trade deadline or after the trade deadline?
Yeah.
Mitch, Mitch got a plan up his sleeve.
Yeah.
He gonna wait.
Nostalgic Nick said Mitch appears to be staying. We'll see. Pablo Dimas says 50 million for Cat, 14 million for Mitch. 64 million is a lot to spend at the center position. Yeah. But Mitch is on a declining contract, so don't he? It's 14 and then it goes to what, 13 and some change next year? Yeah. But still, it is a lot of money. I don't think so. OG want to be back in Toronto. He went to New York for the check, but the passion hasn't been there since he's arrived. I don't agree with that. I think OG's found a home in New York. I don't think what he's doing here, he was able to do in Toronto.
Yeah.
Partly because of injuries and then also just for whatever other reasoning. But to me, it kind of reminds me of like with Precious Achua. I feel like they found a home here. And kind of like with Isaiah Hartenstein. If the Knicks were able to pay him, he would have still been here. He found a home finally. When you on a team for a long time or you're bouncing around, sometimes you're not able to really get the minutes that you want to get and to be able to get into the lineup. And, you only getting these little small, minute minutes. So I think when OG came here, not only did the Knicks change as a team for the better, and the stats showed it. When he was in the lineup, the Knicks were a way better team. They are, not were, they are a better team when OG's in the lineup.
For sure.
So for me, I just think it's with OG, he's not a very like boisterous, out loud, emotional player. He's not that guy. He's not like Josh or sometimes you see Brunson or Cat, they yelling after a
Yeah.
play or a dunk.
Mm-hmm.
OG's not like that, but the passion is there. And I think that OG is laser focused in on like he wants to take this ride with the team minus the check. He wants to take this ride to just win. You after a while, it's like when your money's taken care of, now it's like, yo, I'm trying to win a championship. And when you're on a team where you see the potential and you see where you can go, you can make it there. But it's putting in the work to get there. So I don't think it's that he lacks the passion. I believe, in my opinion, that the passion is there from OG.
Yeah, and he does bring championship experience. He was a part of that title run. Him and Precious both. Right. I know OG was on there.
Yeah. Hmm.
I think they both was. So I mean, yeah, I think the passion still that. Like you said, he's just laser focused. He's not like this, vocal type of player.
Player.
He-
Hmm.
He's low key.
Exactly.
Let his
Yeah, he's more low key, but he's not low key where it's like he ain't really doing nothing and we paid him all that money. I don't feel like that either. I feel like he came here and immediately it was like, wow, and the Knicks did a lot of great things considering they didn't have Randall in the lineup. They didn't have Mitch after a while in the lineup. And somehow we moved the ball well. We were able to still rock and roll, and a big part of that was OG. What he was doing, just his aggressiveness. He's aggressive. One thing that I really commend him for, OG will come in a game, and I noticed this last season when he came. He kind of stopped some of the bad habits that we were used to seeing, where guys would just we were throwing the ball from left and right, and the ball was going nowhere, everywhere but the basket. And OG, after a while, like you would see where Brunson or whoever passing the ball, and he was just taking it in, like, okay, I'm gonna just take it in and dunk it, or I'm gonna take it in and lay it up. So yeah, just look out for the passion. I think it'll grow more. It's just like you don't see him smile a lot either. Paul Labanis, I think he likes it here. He's just a quiet dude. Yeah, for
yeah.
sure. He's more of like a reserve type of player. He's not really like, he gonna be rah rah loud. That's not OG, which is fine. Don't do too much early celebrating in my book. Get the wins first, because even Brunson with the whole kiss to the sky, and I'm like, just get the win first before you do all of that extraness and the threes and the I don't know what you doing in the sky. I'm like, the Knicks play tomorrow, Friday night Knicks. They play their home. They're playing the Timberwolves. That should be a very good game. And then they have a break and they don't play again until Monday. MLK Day, of course, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. That's
And
gonna be a
guess
nice.
what they playing? The Hawks.
Yeah, I was going to say that they playing at 3 against Atlanta, so that should be a good game as well. And then of course they on the back to back. They play Tuesday against Brooklyn, and then the Knicks have a nice break again until next Saturday where they play Sacramento. So I'm actually just gonna get your really just for the Timberwolves because I don't want to go too ahead for next week yet. Um, what are your thoughts on that game, and what are some keys for that game rather for tomorrow?
Um, of course, the keys is Randall's gonna try to come in and they contain him and Edwards. Gobert, he's a non-factor. He's not you know that defensive stopper as he was before. But
Mhm.
again, you still got to guard that perimeter. Minnesota, they're like up and down. They still figuring things out
Yeah,
like the Knicks are. So they're vying for wins, but you got to guard that perimeter. I think he's questionable. He's day to day, or he might not be playing tomorrow due to I think a toe, something like that. Um, but again, you got to guard that perimeter. Um, watch for those. Get out in transition for the Knicks. And play defense 48 minutes, please.
seriously. Yeah, Dante DiVincenzo is out for tomorrow. So yeah, Randall's gonna be, he tried to act like at the press game, the pregame press conference, he was like giving them short answers.
Oh yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you know how you feel playing against the Knicks?" And he was like, "It's just a game." Okay, Randall, I don't got time for that. And him being weird. Um, for real, he be acting real weird. So yeah, the Knicks. Listen, the Knicks. I'm looking for good defense tomorrow. I'm not worried about the Knicks offensively, and if they are off, what I am looking for the Knicks is to get to the basket, figure out how to get to the basket and score. But like you said, 48 minutes of solid defense, get some stops at the perimeter, box out, and play unselfish basketball. Make those extra passes because they're successful when the Knicks do it. But I think the Knicks got to be ready for Minnesota's speed. They like to run the floor. You know, Edwards is gonna be Edwards and do what he do, but still, you could stop other guys on that team. And they're gonna be looking for a win since they just lost by 1 to the Warriors
Oh yeah.
yesterday. So yeah, we'll see. What this Knicks team does. Yeah, they.
I'm more concerned of that Monday's game with the Hawks.
Yeah, I want to see the Knicks get revenge, but you know, I'm not gonna go too ahead because we'll be on Sunday, so I'll be able to dive into that because I need the Knicks to worry about tomorrow. Get it together, so then y'all could get some rest and be ready for that early 3 o'clock game. So I don't know.
Oh, boy,
Watch Jericho Sims started playing well every night once he's traded. Sometimes that's what players do. They when they off the Knicks, they want to burn the Knicks, so they play really well. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I got the Knicks. I'm gonna say I have the Knicks winning that game.
yeah, for sure. Me too. I have them winning that game.
Yeah. So we'll see what the Knicks do. Um, I'm hoping for a win. I don't want the Knicks to get comfortable. I'm not getting comfortable just because they're in third. They're 27 and 15. The Bucks is right behind them in fourth at 22 and 17. Orlando's in fifth at 23 and 19. Indiana's 22 and 19. And look at Detroit in seventh, 21 and 19. When you beat teams like the Knicks, it helps you get your win column to 2. and then Atlanta's at 21-19. So this is what I'm saying. Like these teams that in sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, don't sleep. Will blink, and all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, look at that team's in the fourth, fifth spot already. So yeah, I don't want to get comfortable. I just need the Knicks to stay focused, continue to build, continue to get better each game, win some games for us, and yeah, we'll see what happens for the remainder of this season. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I know you guys will still be around on YouTube because Dope Soul Sports Knicks and Talk is coming on at 9. I believe they're doing their mid-season. The train is so rude. They're doing their mid-season grade. I hate that train. It goes by all the time when I'm talking. They're doing their mid-season grades for the Knicks show, so that's going to be a goodie. So you guys are in for a really good show with Queen Stephanie, Jeff Clafter, Jarrell, and Ajay. That should be a good one. So salute to the chat and everybody. Kareem Grant, Nostalgic Nick. Oh, I didn't even see Jeremy Newsbaum. Salute to you, Jeremy.
Salute.
Wonder Woman, always here. Salute, Nostalgic Nick, Paula Bonner, Humberto de la Ois. Salute to you. Hit him up, NYNJ, APAP. APAP, let us know if you're going to be watching Unrivaled tomorrow. Because, you know, I know APAP watches WNBA. Who else? Buzzer Beater, salute to you as well. I haven't seen you here before, so salute, welcome. Those of you who are new here, salute and welcome to you. Thanks for joining us. Hit that like button if you can and subscribe to the channel so you can catch us. We're live every Thursday evening at 7, and then we come on Sundays around 11, 12 o'clock. Salute to Eddie C, always joining us, showing love, leaving us good questions and comments even after the live. So salute to you. And those of you who are also watching live, but you're not actively in the chat, salute to you as well. Parish Duggar, always showing love. Pablo Demas, same, always hitting us up. It's good to see you back here, Pablo Demas. Space Ghost, salute to you as well, showing love. The Man Cave, haven't seen you here before, but shout out to you and salute to you for joining us as well. I like when you guys are really active in the chat and y'all bring up some really good points. Naja Lee, salute to you as well. Yeah, you guys were really, really active today, so that's dope. I'll probably see some of you in the chat because I usually watch like a small portion of Dope Soul Sports, and then I save the rest from when I'm at work. I always joke with them that the episodes get me through my day. So shout out to them. And shout out to Jarrell. I don't know if his Die Hard Giant show is still going to be going on now that the season's over. Well, I guess he'll be doing updates. I saw he did his episode the other day. But yeah, we'll be back on Sunday. We're going to recap tomorrow's game against Minnesota, and then we'll give our predictions for the week for next week's game. And then we'll definitely dive into that MLK Jr. Game, which is an early one. So I hope y'all have off. And yeah, we'll see you guys then. Anything else from you, Diva Locks?
Now you know me. Let's go next. Let's get this dub.
Exactly. And for those of you who do watch WNBA or support it, Unrivaled 3-on-3 tournament starts tomorrow. It's going to be a double header. I believe it's going to be on HBO Max and TNT. I think there's another network, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, check it out. That's going to be really dope. So it kicks off tomorrow. I think the first game is at 8. I could be wrong, 7 or 8. Which is crazy because the Knicks are going to be on, so I'll be going back and forth. But those of you who have that really dope feature where you can watch several games at once, most streaming apps have that. Check it out. We'll be watching, and yeah, that's it for us for today. Peace, everybody.